Hey everybody. Hopefully you can you hear me? My microphone seems to be really wonky, so let me know if the audio is coming through. A little bit early, so wait to see if anybody jumps on. I have no idea what's going on today, considering there's pen show stuff happening. So, all right. Sweet. Hello, sir. Welcome to the live show. Hopefully we get a few other people jump on here in a couple more minutes, and then I'll start all the fun. Get my list. This is always the best part. Just waiting to see if people show up. Happy Friday, everybody. For those of you who join us and watch us after the live show on, repeat, on record, on whatever, welcome in. I'm Paul from Karis Pen Co. I'll be your tour guide as we go through the fun shenanigans tonight or this evening or this afternoon, whatever time it is where you're watching. Looks like maybe there's a couple people that are jumped on. If you want to be able to chat as far in the live stream, you do need to be logged into a Gmail or Yahoo or YouTube or Google account to be able to chat in the live stream. I get questions after the fact about that I don't address during the live. I always forget to address during the live stream. So, hello, Dave. Sorry you're not funny. Sounds like a burden. Almost 4 o'clock. We'll get the ball rolling. All right. It's officially 4 o'clock. Hopefully we get some more people. I don't have any idea how long this is going to be. But welcome into the February live stream. Thankful that you guys are here. I'm Paul with... I can't. This microphone is killing me today. I'm Paul with Karis Pen Co. If you don't know, hopefully you do since you're here. Maybe you just stumbled upon this live stream by chance. Maybe, maybe not. Chances are all of you are here because you want to be here and you know why you're here. Today we're going to go over, I'm going to show off some more of the notebooks. I'm going to show off some upcoming releases, give a little bit of information on the next couple of pen shows that we've got going on. And that's probably about it. It might be a little bit shorter live stream just because I don't have a lot lined up for this week. So without further ado, let's just go straight into the notebook, since that's kind of been the big thing that I've had a lot of questions about. That I had questions about it via email. I had phone calls about it. Even I guess we maybe teased them. Let me switch over to a different view. I had some questions about them even before I even knew that we'd kind of teased them, but apparently we teased them a while ago. So notebooks, no, the paper in this is different than the light bulb, paper. That paper is a custom paper that Story Supply Company gets. This is These notebooks are made by Denick. They're it's not nearly as fountain pen friendly. They are what 100 GSM, 70 pound I think paper. So it's not bad. It's not bad paper by any means, but it's what I find with it is it's just a little bit, even though it's a heavier weight, it's still it's 100 GSM, 70 pound, 144 pages. It's still a little bit, I guess porous is the best way to put it. Like that you can't really see, even when you touch it, they don't feel that. It feels like nice. It feels like nice paper, nice like copy paper, nice printer paper. Just like nice. When I say like it's noticeably thick. It's decent, feels decent in the hand. It's not technically fountain pen friendly. I write on them with fines and extra fines, and they don't feather that much. Not a lot of bleed through. So, yeah, I don't know why the light bulb ones didn't do good with sheen. That paper was created like by them as to be really good with, to be very fountain pen friendly, but so the prints themselves, you can actually get these prints. They're legitimately, I mean, I can put up some links in this to where places where you can purchase these prints. All we've really done is shrunk them down, and then I think we color adjusted them just a little bit, because the color is a little bit, depending on the download. I think we used trying to remember what site we got them from. We got them from one of the Art Institute sites that has a big catalog of downloadable, like copyright free art. But I will put up some links potentially to where you can purchase prints of these if you're interested. Because you can purchase prints of them in different qualities if you're interested in these prints. The pictures themselves are open source pictures. Anyway, to go back to the paper itself it's hard to describe. They don't say, so Denick does not say that these are fountain pen friendly. They list ballpoint, rollerball, pencil, and marker as the primary writing instruments that this paper will hold up with. So I don't open one of these up. So I don't know. It may show the sheen better. I haven't tested it. I just tested it just strictly with an extra fine, medium, broad, and I think the ink I was using was just like an off the shelf, like a Pilot green or something. It was a relatively inexpensive, easy to find green ink that I tested in all of them. Some feathering is the minor feathering with the larger size nibs that put down a lot more ink, but the extra fine and fine seem to write okay. I don't remember there being a lot of bleed through on them either. They're the same notebooks that we used for the shop truck notebook, so it's one of the few places where you can get these full color printed lay flat books is through Denick with your own artwork that's relatively inexpensive. So Yeah, I think that's just because of how thick they are. They're marker friendly because the paper is really, really thick. Markers don't tend in my tests, the markers that I tested, the Sharpies that I tested, didn't seem to really bleed that much. But markers to me don't seem to. I don't know. The ink makeup is different than fountain pen ink because fountain pen requires such a long drying time, whereas markers seem to be configured in such a way where they're alcohol-based markers or something like that, where it dries itself very fast. And I think a lot of cheaper paper, this is by no means scientific, but I think a lot of cheaper paper, really the feathering happens because the ink is not drying and is pooled on the surface for as long as it is, and it just seems to spread over time into every crevice and cranny that the paper has. So anyway, it was a great design. G and I collaborated on finding the artwork. I just was, when I was looking up copyright free like literary characters, I also got into copyright free images, and so these came up, and just based off their background and everything, with them being used in this being used in an alchemical illuminated manuscript and stuff, it just seemed like these were perfect. Plus they're really cool looking. This particular Splendor Solis has some really great images in it besides these two. These two definitely jumped out the most due to the fact that there's like the sun, the dark sun and the bright sun, and we were going to do some sun and moon motifs. We already knew that when we looked at these that we were going to use some of that motif with this year's Pen Club coin, so just kind of made sense. So yeah, so we got 40 or so of each of these, of either the lined, put the line down here. I don't have a lined with me. Apparently I grabbed 2 of the dot grid. Just regular lined, they're just regular lined notebooks, 144 pages, like I said. They're the Smith, so the binding on them is Smithsonian Library style. If you're familiar with that, really, it's pretty sturdy binding, and then they're glued in. So yeah, so we got about 40 of those. $17.50 for a single notebook, or a 2-pack for $25. So if you get the 2-pack, you're getting a much better deal. But we figured we'd kind of bundle them together, put lined one and a dot grid together and sell them as a 2-pack for like $10 off. And then I will just go into showing off some of the new stuff that we've got that we are going to have coming up this week. Well, not this week, this month. And then, so if you're looking at the screen right now, you can see we've got, let's see, from right to left, we're going to have the next, we had those satin green frag EDKs that launched last month with the new milled clips to match, and these are the next ones. These are satin blue frag EDKs with the milled clip. Really nice blue. Really nice blue. I'm digging this blue that we got. It's not as dark as I really like, but it's pretty close to the dark look. This is almost the blue color that we rolled out the original Prospector pens in. It's real close to that shade of blue. So much like the satin green, these will be available with either the black or the silver stainless steel clicker mechanism. We've got about 40 of those, 45 or 50, I think. And then this EDK or Render K / Fountain K, I only grabbed one of them, is a brand new Cerakote color. It's really difficult to actually see on here. This is actually OD green, so it's the official Cerakote OD green on this one. It's not brown, it's not tan, it's not gray. You can kind of tell against this gray foam that it's not gray, it's a greenish tint. This one has the X, because it was technically supposed to be released last year. We sent these out at the same time we sent the Ultra Black and the anniversary ones. They didn't finish the Cerakote on those until last week, so hence why we're releasing them late, and they still have the X clip on them. We had X clips made for these pens, so I just was like, well, we might as well use the X clips on these and use up the last of them. We are going to have a couple more pens coming out in this same color in the next couple months. So if you like the OD green color, sometimes it's difficult to get that color on to get olive green on anything with our anodizer right now is difficult. So we decided to try this color with Cerakote. So it's a cool color. It actually has a totally different feel than most of the other Cerakote that we've got. I think because this is a mil-spec Cerakote, it's a lot less slippery. It's got a lot more tactile kind of feel to it. I'm trying to remember if any of the other colors we had really had this type of kind of grip to it. I guess the last one that we did that Desert Sand also kind of feels that way too, but this one feels even more kind of grippy, like it grips you back. So I don't know. When we got them in, I kind of looked at them real close and then started putting them together. And when I was putting them together, it was just like, wow, these are definitely nowhere near as slippery as the other stuff. So sorry, I just trying to okay, I don't know what something happened with the playback, so I was messing with the playback screen because it had shown that everything kind of went wonky here, which apparently it didn't. So I had a black screen over there, and I'm trying to figure everything out. So all right, so moving along, same color of blue on these aluminum vertexes, satin blue vertexes. They're the same anodized as the EDKs. These are going to be available with basically every single grip section that we have to offer. So it's going to be the full run of grip sections. You'll be able to like customize basically to your heart's content. Real nice blue, nice dusty blue, gives a great feel in the hand. If you've picked up any of the aluminum vertexes, they're definitely becoming one of my favorite pens. I actually use aluminum vertex on a daily basis now with a rollerball refill in it. I think we are going to offer this as with a rollerball as well. We just I got to get those all inspected and assembled. And then the other ones are that gloss green that we got, same color as that other gloss green and the decagraphs that we got a while back. And those will also be available with all the different grip section options and likely with rollerball kits as well. So you'll either be able to choose a fountain pen or a rollerball option when if you want to purchase the Vertexes. We've never really added that in all the way. So the part of the reason why we've never had the rollerballs as an option straight up on the resin ones is just how they're machined. The rollerball refill sticks out just a little bit too far because we can't machine the bottom of the resin vertexes as much as we can with aluminum. We get some warping down there, and so the hole needs to be a little bit longer. Needs to be a little bit longer than it actually is to accommodate the G2 refill in the resin. But with the aluminum ones, we were able to drill a couple thou deeper, and then the standard rollerball refill fits like perfectly in there. That's one of the reasons. That's the main reason that we don't offer the rollerball option with the resin vertexes straight up out of the box, just because it looks kind of wonky. It'll work. They'll work by all means. The resin ones will work with a rollerball kit. You can take a Decograph rollerball kit and just thread it right in with a G2 refill. It just sticks out a little bit too long. The refill does, so it looks a little bit wonky. But if you're inclined to use rollerballs and you like the Vertex as a pen that you want to use that way, it's definitely it's 100% doable in the resin ones. But with the aluminum ones, we were able to get that drilled a lot, just that much deeper that we needed to make it so that we could off the shelf go ahead and put the refill in there. So yeah, so that'll definitely be an option with these when we put them up. But in terms of why I went from right to left instead of left to right, because normally I do left to right. Right to left this is kind of the moving right to left will kind of be the release. The EDKs will be released first, probably this week, late next week. And then the Render K, same thing, probably next week, towards the end of next week or over the weekend. And then the Vertex is probably the week after that. So that's kind of the main events on those releases. We do have other pens that are in the shop that we're working on getting inspected and assembled. I just don't have a release date. I'm not sure that they'll actually be the other ones will actually be, the other stuff that I have will actually be released in February. A lot of it might be actually pushed into March, even though we have a little bit of time in February left. I think based off of just the stuff that we've got going on, it's likely that some of the pens that I already have back are going to be pushed into March. Part of the reason is pen show wise. So G and Tommy have basically this whole last week were mainly prepping for the California Pen Show, and they're there today vending, and they'll be there tomorrow and Sunday as well. And then Bill and his wife are at CCKS tomorrow, which is a knife show in California. And so they'll be, so we're kind of short staffed, and they aren't coming back until next Tuesday. So we'll be 3 people down until Wednesday. So a lot of the assembly and inspection and stuff like that, and shipping, stuff that we kind of tag team. I'll be working on shipping on Monday and Tuesday. I shipped some stuff out today. And so we're going to be a little bit behind on some of that stuff. The laser was down for maintenance. So we're still lasering coins and shipping those out as we get them done. But because we had to perform maintenance on it, it was a little bit wonky. If you paid attention to our Instagram. If you paid attention to our Instagram recently, you saw some of the California Pen Show exclusive stuff. Much like the shows that we attended last year, if we don't sell everything at the California show, the leftovers, whatever we don't sell at the show, are going to be going to Pen Club members. So if we have any leftover California show Vertex exclusives, we ended up with 2 of them. Pen Club members will have an opportunity to purchase those towards the end of this month. And then, speaking of pen shows, since I'm on that topic, next month we'll be at the Baltimore Pen Show. Bill's going to be at that show, I think, by himself. That's like the 10th through the 12th, I think, of March. And then in April, we'll be at the Atlanta Pen Show. I think Bill and G are both going to that show. I don't know what the dates are on that one, but those are the 2 next shows that we're planning on attending. We have like a show almost every single month that we'll be attending for 2023. Kind of all the big ones. So it's going to be fun. Dave, the other models, I think, for the OD that we're going to be getting in first are going to be retracts and, man, I'm trying to think. I think we did a small batch of bolts and a small batch of retracts for the OD green stuff. So those are going to be the next ones besides the Render K and Fountain K. I think those are the stuff that we did for those. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think that's what I sent out. It's a difficult. I have a lot of stuff out at Cerakote right now. I have these OD green ones. I have some distressed blue ones, like bolts, I think, and maybe EDKs or retracts as well. And then I have a whole batch of the Jawbreaker pens that are still at Cerakote. So we got a lot of Cerakote that's kind of floating out there, and I don't remember off the top of my head what pins went with what coating. So all I have back right now are the OD green, Render Ks, and Fountain Ks. The milled clip. So the milled clip, not the X clips. So the X clip is a version of the milled clip. We designed the milled clip first. And so the milled clip is going to be expanded and potentially be a checkout option on a lot of our like special edition pens. We're looking at potentially doing some standard, like a black and then a standard, I don't know, gray or something that you'll be able to add as a checkout option to pens, to certain releases. Otherwise, it's the standard milled clip, the smooth one's just going to be used on select EDKs, bolts, retracts, and Render Ks, because that's basically what it fits. The X clips will be used on pens for their 10-year like birthday pens. Like, so this year, 2023, is the retract. We'll have some special edition retracts that will feature the X clip on them in different colors. So we plan on keeping the standard milled clip in aluminum around, like making a big batch of them every single year and then adding them to certain special editions throughout the year, and potentially adding them to the website as purchase, like I said, as upgrade options or purchase options. But it was primarily like Josh designed it kind of to go on the EDKs, the bolts, and the retracts more than anything. The only reason we ended up adding it to the Render Ks was due to the fact that A, it fits the Render K, and B, the Render K's 10-year birthday or anniversary or whatever you want to call it happened to coincide with the bolt. So when we did those pens at the end of the year, we added them to the render case as well as to the bolt. So they'll be expanded in certain ways just depending on how many we have, and then but the X Clip is one we're definitely just going to keep for like the birthday year of different pens. We are looking at doing different designs on the clip, whether they're milled or laser etched into the raw clips and then anodized afterwards. I don't know for sure. It's something that we have to kind of look at as time allows. Any special grips on the OD bolts and retracts? I think I'm not 100% positive, Bob, but I think the retracts were both standard smooth and ringed, and then the bolts, I think maybe the bolts were frag bolts. They're either fragged or fluted bolts that we sent out. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head. I think it's one of the two of those. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I said, it's been like I sent all of these pins out the first week of November, so it's been a long time since they were sent to the Cerakote. I was looking at when they came back, I was looking at the invoice and I was like, or the PO, and I was like, holy cow, these got sent back in November. So it's been a while. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure though on the retracts it's standard and ringed for the OD retracts. But off the top of my head, I don't know about the bolts. I'm trying to think what else I had to go over today. Not a lot. There's not a lot going on right now. There's a lot of planning going on. It's slow in terms of getting stuff in. We ran into a few issues with the decagraphs that we're molding. We have to adjust the molds a little bit, the bodies, for whatever reason. We encountered some weird shrinkage on the bodies, so when we went to machine them, they weren't right. They were a little bit slimmer than normal, and so they caused some problems when we were machining them. So we'll have to go back to the drawing board for those resin decagraphs that we're making. But we're almost there. That's pretty easy. We can basically modify Zoe's molds a little bit so that when she pours them, it gives us a little extra leeway in there, so they're a little oversized, and then when we cut them down to size, we won't run into that issue. So, Ian asks about, hey, which of the two differences in the two California shows this weekend? So the California Pen Show that G and Tommy are at is a pen show. So it's going to be all pens. It's just pens, and predominantly fountain pens. G and Tommy have way more pens than Bill does. Bill, the show that Bill is at is a knife show, so it's predominantly a knife show. It's a one-day show. It's only tomorrow, whereas the show that G's at is I think it actually started yesterday, but it's also Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Bill, I don't think Bill has any fountain pens at all, and most of the stuff that Bill has are he has got some Knox pens, and he's got some titanium stuff, some anodized titanium stuff, but G also has some of that stuff as well. Basically, all of the stuff that Bill has, G has some of that stuff as well. We split up the anodized titanium bolts and EDKs and sent some with Bill and some with G. Same thing with the Knox stuff. Bill has some Knox stuff. Bill, I think, only has Knox EDKs and bolts. G has, or she had as of this morning, inks, bolts, render Ks, and retracts. I think retracts, or maybe not retracts, I don't know, in terms of the Knox stuff. So those are the ones that, so G has a lot more pens. So if you're more like a pen person, you probably want to go to the pen show. If you're more of like, hey, you know, I also collect knives and I don't really care about fountain pens, then maybe you go to the one that Bill's at. I don't know what the pricing is on either of them. I don't know what the pricing in terms of tickets for CCKS versus the California Pen Show. I would imagine they're probably similar in price. The resin decagraphs soon. I had hoped to have resin decagraphs, some prototypes available at the Baltimore Pen Show. I don't think that's going to happen now. It might be at the end of March, probably sometime in April, realistically. I know you guys are waiting on your coins. I'm going to get you your coins. I know. We're working on it. I promise. Any new? So Marcel asks if there's any new signature pens planned. I don't know. We have some ideas about some pens. I just don't. Realistically, I'm not sure how much prototyping on new pens is going to happen this year. Just from a staffing standpoint, we're at the lowest level in terms of employees and team members since I've been here. So Bill's working in the shop a lot more, and him and Josh are kind of sharing the prototyping duties in terms of like actually like testing stuff out. And so I don't know if we're going to do anything. We did sit down and look at some potential pens that we would prototype this year, but I don't know where we're going to actually end up with that, with those, any of those projects. It could be that we end up doing one or two of them towards the middle / end of the year. But it's very much all up in the air right now. I can't. It's totally dependent on Bill and his schedule and how much stuff we can actually get around to doing. Question: how are the website issues going? Have you switched over to a new platform? So that's actually a funny question that I have an amusing answer to. We identified the main problem in terms of it was causing the problem where you couldn't either A, access your cart, or B, like at all, the cart didn't show up at all, or B, you couldn't add things to your cart, or C, like it took you 25-30 minutes to get into the cart. So we figured that problem out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and fixed that. In the process of fixing that, a couple other issues with the site. Basically, I fixed that. A company that we worked with to identify issues on the site that was monitoring the site basically told us, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z and then test the site. So I went in there instead of having any of the technicians work on it. Basically, I went in there and did all those changes. And then when we did those changes, some other weird stuff happened to the site where like our homepage disappeared and like all of the static pages disappeared. But I was able to fix all of those. The new style pop-up that you're seeing is basically one of the custom plugins that we had for the pop-up that we had to delete and remove. Basically made the pop-up look cooler, made it look more dynamic. So the pop-up that you're seeing is technically the same it's the original pop-up that we wrote, and then we custom coded the one that we used to have. So that being said, I've still been working on the new website, and so I've been adding product and adding pages to the new website. That's been the majority of the stuff that I've been doing the last 4 or 5 weeks. We're waiting on the developer that we have working on this site, who's the developer we used initially on our original website. So he's far more savvy when it comes to the platform we're moving to, and he just has he has a full-time job that's not in web development. He does that on the side. He also has a family member that he's the primary carer for. So there's stuff that's up in the air in terms of how often he works on the web page, and we're waiting for him basically to install a bunch of a bunch of our what's the word I want to use? We're waiting on him to install a bunch of the shipping matrix plugins. So a bunch of the plugins that we require to actually sell product, and fulfill shipment on product. He's the one that needs to be able to do that. I'm not well versed enough in this platform to be able to do any of that stuff without messing up the website. So we're relying on him to do that. So he has a list of stuff that he's working on. Once he does that, we'll test the website out and then make the website go live. I do plan to, I do plan to kind of, I don't want to say strip the website down, the new website, but change some stuff on the new website and send out, basically send the link to that website into the Pen Club members and have them just look at it on their devices and kind of say, yes, it works fine on my computer. It works fine on my phone. You won't be able to purchase anything. It's just more like it loads well. When I click on different things, it moves to different pages in a timely fashion, stuff like that. So I do. It's far more responsive for me when I am working in it and when I'm testing it, and when I actually go to inspect the new website and look at the code. I tend to do that I switch it over into the mobile format because a lot of people use the mobile format. So on my end, when I'm testing everything after I've done a lot of changes on it, it seems to be much more responsive and a better user experience than our current website. So I think we're headed in the right direction, which is one of the reasons why sometime towards the end of this month, I plan on sending a link to the Pen Club, just to have you guys, any of you that are in the Pen Club, kind of just tool around on it. You won't be able to process any payments or purchase anything because it's not set up for that right now, but you'll be able to look at all the pages and kind of scroll through and see the interface and see how the layout's different than the current website. So Colin, we're moving away from WooCommerce and back to Magento. And it currently not using a WordPress front end with the Magento. We're gonna have a template basically that we've chosen, that we're customizing to make it look the way that we want to look at, the way we want it to look. So all that's being coded in CSS and XML, and then whatever other native languages, that native computer code that Magento uses, which they use several of them. That's what we're using. So we used Magento initially, the first site we had after the Kickstarter campaign. For years, the original site until we switched to WooCommerce was a Magento site. And when Magento moved from 1.0 to 2.0, we decided to move to WooCommerce because we'd been sold that WooCommerce would be a better option. So, which was not true. WooCommerce was obviously not a better option. It was much more difficult for us to create from the ground up, let alone maintain, and for me to do any kind of work on than Magento was. And so when we had all these problems, we just decided we're going to move back to Magento 2.0 and kind of go from there, which the newer Magento 2.0 is it's a lot better than 1.0. I'll just put it to you that way. Like in terms of like appearance, graphic interface, and the way that things look, it's a lot slicker. It's a lot modern as opposed to the older website that we had. Eric, that's hilarious. Technically the site's live right now. Like the site is, I'm not working. The weird thing is I'm not working in a sole production environment. I'm actually building everything out in a live site on an actual domain that we purchased to test product on. So it's just there's not any way to finalize purchasing the product. So, but that's funny. You're like, yeah, a Kara site that you can't purchase anything. It's totally window shopping only. Window shopping only. It's basically like a website version of Instagram. So Todd asks, as a maker, what pen, notebook, etc. designed by another maker are you a bit jealous of? Oh, jealous of? Oh man, I don't know. Jealous is a difficult. I don't know if jealous is the right term that I would use. I don't know that I mean, I'm not a maker. I just work for a maker. I'm trying to think. So from an engineering standpoint, the refill call it system that Big Idea Design uses on their rollerball and ballpoint pens is a really cool idea. It's a great idea. It works really well. It eliminates so many problems that we run across in terms of people complaining about tip wiggle and lateral refill movement. So that engineering design feature is probably something that if we were to ask Bill, like that would definitely be the one that jumped to mind. Every time we've looked at one of their pens, we've been like, man, why didn't we think of this first? So that's the one that really comes to mind in terms of that feature itself. What are we using for hosting? Nexus is our host, which used to be something, and before that it was Alpha Hosting. It's the same hosting that we used when we had our old site. That's the host that we have right now. I don't know if we're going to continue to host on Nexus or not. A lot of it depends on once we're finished. Our developer that we have that's working on it, he's already said, he's like, we might want to upgrade to a different hosting. So we may end up switching to different hosting. I did, yes, Jamie, I did design the Vertex. The Vertex is my design. So I don't know, like I would say like the Franklin Christoph Penvelope and the Galen leather pen holder, the leather ones that those two manufacturers make that are kind of similar. Those are fantastic looking, beautifully designed like pen holders. I don't know that I'm necessarily jealous of them, but they're gorgeous. They function really well. They're works of art. Pen wise, I don't know. Like I like the Lamy 2000 It's a great design. I think it's a classic. There's a reason that it looks the way that it does. I'm also really fond of the Parker 51. I think that's a great design for a pen. The Pilot Vanishing Point is a great retractable design. It's just, in my opinion, I was going to say, in my opinion, it's a little too expensive, but realistically, with all of the engineering and parts that they have to assemble, it's probably priced appropriately. It's just, it's not a pen that I enjoy writing with. It's a great design, but it's not a pen that I enjoy writing with at all. It's extremely uncomfortable for me, so I've gotten rid of all of mine. But it's a great design. Like, creating a legitimate retractable fountain pen would be really cool, that functioned well and actually felt good when you held it in your hand. Most of them are absolute garbage in terms of writing comfort. Have we considered slim pens? Yes, it's not going to happen due to the fact that the refills are too big. The shape of the refills limit us from doing slim pens in terms of retractable pens. If we did a standard, we could make a pen that was as slim as, or maybe a little bit slimmer than the Render K grip section if it wasn't retractable. So that's kind of where we're at with slim pens. Right, Bob. That's the other thing. Like, the Big Idea design basically makes it so that you can use any refill at all. That's not true. 99% of the refills will fit in that pen. So, and it's just a great mechanism. That collet that they came up with is really, really cool. It functions. I have my only gripe with them is there's a couple that I've used that broke, and there's no way to fix them. If you go too far, you thread the collet too far, it sticks, and you can't basically unstick it. And so I was gifted one, and when I was just kind of messing around with it, I was like, how does this work? You know, how far can it go? Does it unthread? Like, when it's stuck all the way open, I think, and now, like, it's basically useless. I don't know if it's a fault on mine, but another one that I ended up purchasing online did the same thing. I don't know that we'd ever do an homage really to any pen itself in terms of like design. We have some ideas in terms of like the way that a pen looks that are going to be kind of homage pens, but we'll see if we get to that this year. I'm not sure if we'll end up doing that, but we have some ideas with the Vertex and to do a little bit of an homage thing. I've kicked around ideas with Ishmael about that, and I just haven't finalized anything realistically. We'll see. Fingers crossed. There'll be more information about that over the next couple months. But I mean, if you really want to get down to it, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, the Lamy 2000 is an homage to the Parker 51. So that's just my personal opinion. Although lots of people will say that that's potential. Either it's an homage or it's like a way to compete, but there's a lot of pens that have a similar design to that. If you go back far enough, the hooded nib design was a super popular thing that happened in the late 40s and 50s. Well, it's been about 50 minutes. So if you have any final questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for jumping on here and keeping the chat live. Appreciate it. You kept me awake. I just have to work. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired right now. I just want to go home and take a nap. But I'll field any last minute questions that anybody has, and then we'll wrap things up, and we'll see you next month, potentially. For sure next month. Maybe, I don't know. I always say maybe we'll do a random live, and we never do. We mostly because it's really difficult for me to find some extra time. Todd, any thoughts to experimenting different types of deployment mechanisms for retract type pins? Yes, that was one of the goals with prototyping pins in 2023 was to kind of potentially find some alternative retract style mechanisms that we could come up with. So that was what we were going to focus on. I don't know where we'll be at in terms of actually doing that this year, but we do have a couple ideas in terms of non-standard retract style methods, like so not a push button or a standard bolt action, or even necessarily your twist mechanism for a pen, but something a little bit different, or like an amalgam. Like we have like 3 or 4 different ideas. I'm not even gonna. You already talked about Zerk once, Eric, so I'm not gonna dignify that with a response. Banishing punts and Lamy, fugly broken paper clips are deal breakers. Yeah, well, they're super popular. Super popular. There's a reason for them being as popular as they are. I don't like the Lamy, the Lamy, like the standard Safari or All-Star clips. I like the 2000. I think the 2000 is a vastly superior pen. It's one of the best pens on the market. It's one of my top 3 pens. It will remain in my top 3 pens. I doubt it will be usurped out of that anytime soon. So, when will rollerball options be up for the Vertex? So I would imagine so when we add the blue, the satin blue, and the green, we'll add the rollerball options to those just off the jump. I may have the tumbled aluminum Vertex with rollerball option up in the next couple of weeks. So, but for the time being, those are only, the rollerball is only going to be available on the aluminum ones. So over the next couple of weeks, we should have those up. So like the pen itself and not the grip section, because technically the grip section on the ink and the decograph are the same width. But you're talking about like the size of the pen itself, I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I've wanted to do like, we've talked about doing some, potentially down the road, doing some oversized versions of the ink and the decograph. I don't know how likely that is to actually happen, but we'll see. You can take you can take an ink body and thread a decograph cap onto an ink body. It works. So if you want to have a Karas Franken pen, you can create one with an ink body and decograph cap and vice versa. You can take the Decograph body and thread it into an ink cap. Obviously, we shot an entire group of pictures. In fact, I think we actually sent some of them out in an email where the caps were on wrong. The original Jawbreaker release had the Decograph caps on the ink bodies and vice versa. So it happened. That was a fun one. I would imagine Colin, you can just tell him that you're in the pen club. I don't know if Bill took anything like swag wise for pen club members. He might have some stuff that he can give you, or I'll give you a discount or something like that. Just tell him that you're in the pen club, like you haven't got your coin yet. Definitely at that show, like people are like, he'll probably not have very many people that even know who we are at that show. Thai Vertexes, still plan on doing them. I don't know when it's going to happen. The next titanium pins that we're going to make are going to be bolts and then retracts. All right. I'm going to sign off, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hopefully I answered some questions, showed off some stuff that you're going to have to crack open your wallets for, and unless you're just going to look at our window shopping website. I will talk to you next time. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Don't do anything too dangerous. Stay out of jail. That's the big one. Stay alive. Also a big one. And I will talk to you in the future. Hopefully we can do some more live streams or some recorded videos. You guys don't have to sit here like when I'm just on. But I really appreciate you guys being here every week, especially some of you guys, or every month, especially some of you guys that show up every single time. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I will talk to you again soon. Good night, everybody. Bye.